Welcome to another exciting episode of the Million Dollar Peddlers. I'm Paper Guy.
I'm Mr. Magazine.
And it's Saturday, BOLO Day. What we do every Saturday is we go through eBay highlights from the last week. Things that
It sneezed too, excuse me.
Sorry. We do that once in a while. That's a rare insert. And we tell you what sold, and we go over why it sold, tell you what to look for when you're out there. Some of these things are better suited to be found at garage sales, estate sales, flea markets, collectors, dealers. So we'll kind of talk about it a little bit to help you out and start talking and helping.
All right, up we have a vintage Kenner 1983 Star Wars Desert Sail Skiff Mini Rig with armed Klaatu figure. Now this is something that probably I would say is as late as before COVID. This was junk. This little skiff thing. Mm-hmm. It was done in the 80s. It wasn't real popular, and they were like $5 to $10. The Klaatu figures probably $5 to $10. Now with the staff and everything, $55.
Is it just more people are collecting it?
I think more people are collecting, but now the higher grade stuff, it looks to be in great condition. Hardly played with it, so like people are getting the figures graded.
Okay.
Maybe a loose figure like that, AFA graded, could be $100. So now maybe that's $30, and the skiff's $30. They're buying them for $55.
Dumb question.
Sure. And it's complete too. You got the red, what do they call it? That overhang thing too. So I'm sure that's hard to find. But go ahead.
Do any of the grading companies grade the ships?
They will grade anything you want. Okay. Honestly, there's a big form you got to fill out with size and so forth, and they'll custom make the package. So you can even box it with a loose box with the like an open box with that, and they'll package it. Or you could have a figure backing with no figure torn off, and they can package that with a loose figure. So yeah, they'll do anything you want, and any size you want. You can go those gigantic 3-foot. They'll make 3-foot cases. Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow.
If you want to pay it, they'll make anything you want.
There we go.
All right. Next up, another Star Wars. This is something not to buy. Vintage Kenner Star Wars Jigsaw Puzzle. Jawas Capture R2-D2. These are really cool to collect just because the box and the photo of the scenes and stuff, but they generally don't sell for much. And again, I don't think we count, this one's missing 4 pieces. So my employee actually did count them out. That might be part of the reason. But generally speaking, even if they're, mint and complete, $20-$25. But you could probably still pick them up for $5 at garage sales. So, if you're a collector, I would pick it up for $5 and keep it.
Right.
Next up, I don't know much about these, but I bought a slew of them. Rocco mini tanks, 187 scale, military trucks, a huge lot of 50, sold for $200. We had 3 lots, and they sold for $600 combined.
Oh, wow.
I got this in some big deal from a friend of mine. It had toys. They're plastic. They don't look like much of anything, but I guess they're great for doing scenery. So I don't know if it's N scale scenery. I think it's N scale scenery.
Just for somebody like me, like 187 scale on this, is that Hot Wheel size or smaller or bigger?
Smaller. So the HO scale would be Hot Wheel size. That's 1/64th, and this is even smaller, so it's 187.
Okay.
Yep. Next up, I got a bunch of these in the collection. Didn't know they were worth anything until we started listing them. 1975 to 85 award winners, baseball MVP, complete set of 20 cards. I took an $85 offer on this. We were selling them individually for AL and NL, and they were going for $50 a whack. I don't know. There's not much. They're like little, picture drawings of the players. Fred Lynn, Thurman Munson.
Now, who put those out?
It is a good question. My employee didn't want anyone to know who put them out, but
it's a secret.
Again, they are hard to find because, like I said, they were going for $50 for each division, which is crazy. So, but if you're collecting like Mattingly or certain players, Cal Ripken, you have to buy these sets to get them.
To be a completist, right? Yep. Interesting.
And it might. Now, and I don't think they made a lot of them either. I've never seen them before. So,
do you think there'd be money to be made buying that and then breaking them up?
I think we should try that out because I think I got more. If you need one, I could set them aside for you.
There you go.
All right, next up, bought some Walking Dead comics here and there from a buddy of mine. This is issue number 3, first appearance of Carol and Dale, whoever they are, because I've never seen the show. But it's a CGC 9.6, and it went for $230.
Does Chip know that Dale's cheating on him with Carol?
I do not know that, but I do know that these first prints too. That's another thing. The first editions before they remade them because they're so popular, go for a premium. So definitely jump on those if you see them. I don't know the difference, but if you're an expert, you can figure it out.
Nice.
And I think this is my last one here. He-Man Masters of the Universe, Grizzlor, 1985. This is a dark face variant complete with his weapon. We had a bunch of these figures, and the person I bought them from had them, near mint in each bag, separate with their weapon. So he did all the work for us.
Oh, nice.
We knew they were complete. What we didn't know was this is a dark face variant, which is worth $115 and not $15.
Oh,
so,
okay.
That's why it's worth my employee Tara peeking. If it took them an extra 5 minutes, well worth the time.
Right. Wow. Well, I have absolutely no toys, and this is actually the lowest price thing of the day. Migration of Birds, 1950, U.S. Department of the Interior booklet, Circular 16. I brought this up for two reasons. Number one, took a little while to sell. 14 years to sell this.
Holy cow.
And I like to bring things like this up there because I know there are some people out there that start jonesing if something hasn't sold in 6 months.
I got to ask you, was this rescanned years later, or do you actually scan this? Because it looks good for 14 years ago. We weren't doing good pictures back then.
I would have probably scanned it. I used to scan sometimes, and then when my scanner screwed up and it started changing the settings, then I would take photos, and eventually I'd figure out how to scan again. Cool. So it probably was a scan from back then. But again, a lot of people out there, oh my God, it hasn't sold for 6 months. What am I going to do? Do I lower the price? Do I? If you are into the long tail, you don't lower the price. It will sell eventually. It took 14 years. Then again, it's a booklet. How much room did it take up? Type deal. Now, obviously, I wouldn't list this today. But that being said, I just wanted to give a little bit of hope to people out there and kind of show you how the long tail does work. And it does work. Another item that you would think would be long tail, but actually only took 3 years to sell. Japanese language softcover book lot of 4. Kazuko Miyamoto Yasushi Inoue.
Sure.
Yep. He and I went to different schools together. But this is one of those things that I ended up getting this from another dealer because that dealer didn't want to deal with these. Right. But that's where, and we have a video way back when telling you how to use Google Translate on your phone. I was able to use that to at least get the authors' names to give me something or other to work with. And another little insider tip, a lot of these do have ISBNs on the back. If you type those in, you can get some titles, and you can translate the page and figure out who they are. I just kind of want to draw people to the listing because I figure anybody buying this probably can read Japanese. Yeah, so true. My entire goal is to get them to the listing. Yeah. Whether I'm accurate or perfect in the listing is a little less important than getting them to the listing because they're going to know what it is. And they might look and go, what's he talking about? Yeah, sushi, that's so-and-so. Yeah. Because maybe my translator was wrong on it. Well, they see what it is. They can read Japanese. They know what it is. Sure. So I don't necessarily, on something like this, sweat all the small details like that. Because unless I learn Japanese, it's almost like the American that goes into the tattoo parlor and says, yeah, put this on. What's this mean? Oh, it means strength. And, it says something like, you're an idiot.
Silly goose.
Hey, you get silly goose tattooed on your arm in Japanese, and you're going, this says strength. And everybody reads Japanese and is like, no, it doesn't, you silly goose. Exactly. But all I have to do is draw people into the listing on something like that. So accuracy matters a little less in something like this. Another little bolo here. Bill Landis original cartoon art, The Villages, Daily Sun, 2005. I picked this up, a big, gigantic pile of original art. Now, that's where the whole transition that I made a few years ago over at Heritage definitely did pay off because I would have walked right by this. Sure. I bought this out at Springfield, bought a big pile. But the bolo portion of it is, you take a look on there, and you've got Jacques Chirac, you got Vicente Fox, you got somebody I can't read down on the bottom, and you've got King Aziz Saudi. Well, obviously, I do not have the room to put all their names up. It's sold at auction, which means I probably chose the right name to put up. And little insider, little bolo tip for you, anything Saudi does sell. Absolutely does. And that's what you post there. I think there's that Life magazine with the Saudi prints on it from back, and that's like $100 and some one if I remember right as well. So yeah, any Saudi, pick it up, sell it. Next up, Smith Corona Corona-matic electric portable typewriter manual. I took $15 on it.
It's probably worth more than a typewriter.
I was just gonna say you're stealing my lines.
Sorry.
Stealing my lines.
Obvious then.
But yeah, this is the kind of thing, I don't want to deal in typewriters. I don't want to have giant typewriters around. I don't want to know if the electric typewriter works or not. What happens if one of the keys sticks and the person's upset?
Yeah.
It's a manual.
So if you go to a garage sale and this is $3 with the typewriter, you buy it, throw the typewriter, or say, hey, keep the typewriter. Yeah.
Can I give you $1 just for the manual?
Exactly. That's smart.
Yep. So these things do sell, just to let you know. Up next, and I've sold this before, and I wanted to bring it up again, just to show you, A, that it does sell, B, to brag that I got two, haha. Rolling Stone Magazine, number 88, August 5th, 1971, Jim Morrison tribute. And the reason why I wanted to bring this up, these sell regularly. There's always 2 to 3 on eBay at a time.
Tough to find, though, those older ones that fold in the newspaper. Yeah, very cool.
I think this probably, I would say, is more common than issues 87 or 89 because people would have saved this.
Right.
Whereas 87 or 89 may not have anybody special on the cover,
Sure.
so those got tossed out more. This is more prevalent.
Yeah.
That being said, it's going to sell more often. What you do on an item like this is you Terapeak it and you list it at the high price that it's sold for. Don't worry about what is on there because at this moment, there might be 3 of them on there and somebody might be asking 35, somebody might be asking 50.
Right.
You ask 75 on it.
Sure.
Because the 35 will sell, the 50 will sell, and at some point, you'll be the only one on, you can get your 75. Now, if you want to sell it very quickly, list it at the 35. But if you're willing to hold out with a little more long tail, list at the high end because this is something that sells regularly. And the final item we have over here today, talking about the original art.
Whoa. Yeah,
Sonic the Hedgehog, number 149, original art, page 4, Archie Comics, Jim Amash and Steve Butler, $244. This is actually funny. I was getting tons of offers on it. A lot of people watching it, $50, $85, $115. And I said, no, I paid, I think, $120.
Oh, you can't. Yeah.
Something or other like that, which I thought was a good
money.
deal.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and I said, no, somebody's going to buy it eventually. And sure enough, somebody ended up paying the full price for it.
Cool.
Because the key is, there's a couple of keys to it. Number one, it's one of a kind. It's original artwork. It's one of a kind. There are no more of this out there. It's the only one. And number two, it's Sonic the Hedgehog. It's a popular character.
Right.
It's not like I have some third-tier DC comic or Charlton comic from 1992, the last prints of those, or some independent comic art. Yeah. This is Sonic the Hedgehog, always collected. So stick to your price. You're going to have a lot of people lowball you right out the box, and just don't be in a hurry to sell it.
True.
And you wait. If it's a quality item, you will get your price out of it. So hopefully that helps you a little bit. If you could hit the like button, that would help us, and we will see you next video.
Take care.
Bye-bye.